Yeah, I mean, the Gold Cup is really interesting because now, unlike the Nations League, this is a tournament situation. Obviously, the last tournament situation and the first tournament situation that Pochettino is going to go through with this team, it's something the U.S. has won numerous times. So winning it wouldn't necessarily be a feat. You get a little pat on the back, but we're not creating statues for anybody. However, to have the team in camp, and there's still going to be some concerns because of the Club World Cup, but to have as much of the team in camp as possible, to have back the likes of Jedi Robinson and maybe even a Dest going forward, he is going to have an opportunity to work with a team in a different type of format. And I hope that we see a different, to your point, type of personality that emerges from this team this summer that they can carry over to 2026. Because again, we keep saying we are getting closer and closer. The ramp is not a ramp anymore, all right? It's a couple of steps until the summer of 2026. And I think it's concerning to me. I know it's concerning to the people that were here and watched this game. I'm sure it's concerning to the people at home that watched this game that we are not further along, that we are not buoyed, that we are not excited, that we are not mesmerized to a certain extent.
But are we capable of that?
Yes!
I mean, that's the conversation.
Yes, we are.
Do you think we are? Because I know what
this team is definitely capable of way better than they showed in these two games, for sure. Two players I do want to ask you about are Gio Reyna and Mosse. They both came on as part of a triple sub in the second half. So Gio played 20-something minutes total in the two games. Mosse did get to play a little bit in the midfield today, which I liked. But I don't think Pochettino has quite figured out yet what to do with those two guys.
So, look, Gio Reyna is this elusive unicorn to me. And we've seen these moments and flashes of brilliance, but the reality is, and we have to start having this real conversation about him, is what is his level? What's his potential? What's the ceiling? But first and foremost, he's got to get on the field for his club team. He has to get a move in the summer. He has to figure out himself how to go through these tough moments and ride them out and be a realistic contributor. And by the way, he's not good enough from what I've seen that he can roll into camp having played 5 minutes at the end of every single game and that he should expect to play a more meaningful role for the U.S. men's national team. I just haven't seen it. And sure, he could have come on earlier in the game or come on against Panama, maybe had a little moment of brilliance. But I want to see something that's consistent, that's going to be there all the time, and that is a dependable asset if that's the type of player that I'm going to build my team around.
Is it fair or acceptable for Mauricio Pochettino to do what he did after the game and kind of push it forward and push all chips in on 2026? For example, he said, if we're going to make mistakes, I'd rather we do it now because we have time. If it happens 1 year, then, quote unquote, Houston, we have a problem. And that's, I think that's fair. He said when he was asked about the negativity that is surrounding this team right now, he said, negativity? Where is the negativity? Pessimism, maybe, yes. But you see in the World Cup, teams that were building were not good until right at the World Cup. I want to send the message to the fans. Don't be pessimistic and get bad feelings. Is he gaslighting us?
Yes, he is. And this is a situation that U.S. Soccer created by going big, going for the big hire, because we all knew nothing really matters for him from a results perspective until 2026. And that's the situation that's been created. Could you imagine if Greg Berhalter had coached these two games? He wouldn't have made it out of the stadium. He would have been fired in the locker room. Right. And so this is where we are. And what I would ask back of Pochettino, if I had heard him with that quote, was, so what did you see over the past two games that you can build from? Because I didn't see much at all. Luna was a bright spot. Ajimang, I thought, came on and made a difference. He scored a goal. He got an opportunity. But the reality is, I think what he's found out in these two games is probably more meaningful to him about himself, about players, about the relationships, and about the feeling coming out of it.
It's funny you say that because somebody texted me earlier and said that exact same thing. In that, well, first off, there was, again, an apathy to this person's reaction. But then they said, you know what? If Pochettino, to your point, found out things that ultimately are going to make him do his job better and make this team better, either this summer in Gold Cup, but certainly in 2026, then I don't like it. Nobody likes winning, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's always going to get the benefit of the doubt, but we will see when that roster comes out for the Gold Cup. Is it the usual suspects? or is it a different mix that was relative to this failure?
Yeah.
Mosse.
You mentioned Ajiman. He ended up playing more minutes than Sargent in the 2 games, scored a goal. Sargent didn't. Do you think he's leapfrogged Sargent in the striker pecking order? And is Sargent another player we have to start having a conversation about that it's just never going to happen with the national team?
Yeah, look, I don't even want to begin to try to guess on positioning right now,
Power
who's
rankings?
where and power rankings. I mean, everything is on the table right now is what I would say. If I'm Mauricio Pochettino, you know who your core guys are, although I do wonder if there's some performance over the course of these 2 games that he looks at and he thought, when I came in, I thought that guy was going to be more of this, and he's not. And this is what I'm going to be able to get from him. So you start to place them in these different buckets. And unfortunately for Sargent, it wasn't the best situation, right, against a difficult Panamanian team that's sitting back deep. He didn't get many chances. Ajimang comes on and scores. But that position, you've got, Balogun Pepe, Haji Wright, Ajimang, Josh Sargent. There's 6 or 7 guys, but none of them have nosed ahead.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, you get your chance. You don't do it, next guy up.
And we should note at the other end, Stefan was going to start today, but couldn't because of an illness. So Matt Turner got another chance. But I do think goalkeeper is really unsettled right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've said time and time again that position, I don't think it's unsettled in terms of the names that we're talking about, but I think it's unsettled as to who is going to start. Matt Turner, in the first game, did not do well on that on that goal. I think he'd be the first to admit it. It wasn't Matt Turner's fault tonight in what happened, but I think he is going to be under competition. I didn't think the defense was good tonight. And again, we talk about the outside back position with Jedi and possibly Dest at some point if he comes back even close to what he is. The fall off from those 2 on the outside back position is just incredible.
Yeah.
And this was a bad back line in the decisions that they made. They did not make me, and I think anybody probably on the team, secure in what they are doing. And so Poch is going to have to figure that out too.
Yeah, I have no idea what Mark McKenzie was doing on Jonathan David's goal, the second Canada goal. And Joe Scally, you and I were talking during the game, he might be another one of these guys that we put in the Malik Tillmans and Dejas, Johnny Cardoso basket. Very good for his club, but it just doesn't translate for whatever reason with the national team.
And when we were trying to analyze the different positions, when we came into this camp, I think we were saying, okay, there's question marks at goalkeeper. There's question marks at center back. Question marks in the middle of the field. Question mark up front. And here we are after 2 games saying, I don't have any answers at all. And guys got opportunities. McKenzie got an opportunity. Cameron Carter-Vickers got an opportunity in this game with Tim Ream on the bench. And as far as I'm concerned, and I kind of like it this way, if I'm being honest, off the back of those 2 games, is that all of these guys will be going back to their teams with a little bit of a feeling of uncertainty about where they stand in this pool. And I do believe what I said earlier. You learn more from the losses. You never want to lose. But as a coach and as a player, and if I'm a coach that's just newly into a system or a team that would roll into a tournament like this and expect to win, but then loses, I'm looking at reactions. And those are when I'm going to find out if the guys that have a little bit extra and can turn it on. And the last part I'll take away from all of that, and piggybacking off what you said, the depth was already a question. The depth is even thinner than we thought. And that is huge drop-off at multiple positions, fullback, center mid, center back, and I don't know what's going to happen at goalkeeper.
But I want to reiterate what I was talking about last night, and actually if you go to fox.com, foxsports.com over there, I had an article about not letting these guys off the hook. I was talking to some fans here, and kudos to the fans that came out. I know a lot was made about this environment, and let's just put that to bed, by the way. It had nothing to do with the environment. Was it ideal? No. We all understand that. Everybody wants to play in front of a packed house, and everybody wants to play in front of their own fans. And so we can scream and yell about what CONCACAF did relative to the environment. But you have to be able to self-motivate, and they weren't able to do that. But I was talking to some fans out here, and they were hurting. They were angry, but I go back to this word. They were apathetic. And that is not anything that I ever thought I would hear about this team. Look, if you're going to lose, fine. People will be angry when you lose. But at least be interesting when you lose. At least be entertaining when you lose. At least be exciting. And too often I heard, I don't care because they have made me not care. And even in that moment when I do care, they don't reward me with anything that tickles my fancy. They don't reward me with any type of individual or collective type of movement that I can say I can get behind that. And that is a problem going forward.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but after the U.S.-Canada match,
do.
we were hanging out near the team buses, and we saw all the players and coaches for both teams come out. And by the way, Bayern Munich fans, no need to worry. I saw Alphonso Davies. He looked fine, wasn't limping at all. But both coaches, Jesse Marsch and Mauricio Pochettino, went out of their way to talk to you. Anything in those conversations you can share?
Well, they understand that the State of the Union, all right, basically dictates everything out there when it comes to soccer, and so they obviously want to get on our good side. I have known Jesse for a long time, and I congratulated him. As I said in the opening segment, congratulations to Jesse Marsch for what he did. I asked him if he was all right because he lost his head. It was strange for him to lose his head in that moment because if you actually look at the plays, those weren't moments to lose your head. But I think he kind of wanted, we've seen hockey, hockey and baseball
Get
managers
tossed.
get
There
thrown
was
out.
some real Bobby Knight energy there. He gets
Exactly.
tossed. The Canada fans are chanting, Jesse, Jesse. It was a move to fire up his
Yeah,
team.
and the Pochettino, interaction that I have, I had met with him with some other folks last week, and I find him interesting. I find him fascinating, but that's all fine and well. Ultimately, he has to win, and I think he recognized that in this moment, here I'm interacting with someone who's going to go and get behind a mic and probably crush me, and I think that he absolutely deserves the crushing that is happening right now. But again, he has the opportunity and he has the leeway because he's going to be here through 2026, and he is constantly assessing here. But this is not a good look for someone that they are paying $6 million a year. And, it was about he wants to get better. Well, yeah, we all want to get better. But is it only going to get better come the summer of 2026? Because if he's putting all of his chips into the summer of 2026, that is a big, big bet. And he better not be bluffing, because if it doesn't work out, that's a problem. Now, listen, if you are horrible in the Nations League, and let's say you suck it up this summer in the Gold Cup, and then you do things we've never seen before in the World Cup, nobody's going to give a crap. Nobody's going to give a crap. But I think more people now are going to look at the Gold Cup, whether they give a crap or not. I think they're going to look at the Gold Cup with an eye to, are they going to rebound? Quick Gold Cup thoughts in terms of what you want to see or what you think you'll see.
What I was going to say there is, this is where Mauricio Pochettino is going to earn his money. And I do wonder if you got him one-on-one, no cameras on, and you asked him, what did you expect when you took this job, and what you've seen, is that what you expected, or did you think you had a little bit more? Now, it doesn't matter if he thought he had more or whatever.
Took the gig.
The job is the job, and it's his job to figure out the best way, and he's had such a great experience in his career of doing this as underdogs at different levels with some of the biggest stars in the world, so automatically he commands the respect, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. As bad as those two games were, but I tell you what, you have to make that team believe, you have to make yourself believe, and ultimately you have to make the country believe come 2026 that we can roll into that tournament and we can do things that have never been done before, because that's what we've been promised and that's what we expect. Because I have questions right now, and I don't think that this team can. I said it on our pod the other day. I don't believe that this team is any better than anything we've seen before in the past. But maybe they'll surprise us in 2026. And that little bit of optimism, I think it starts this summer in the Gold Cup, because the reality is, I don't know if you know the number of games, Mosse, but the number of competitive games that he has outside of the Gold Cup, it's zero. It's friendlies, and then you're rolling into the World Cup in 26.
I do like the two friendlies they lined up for June with Switzerland and Turkey. Those will be useful, but I'd like to see the U.S. win the Gold Cup, frankly. You need to generate some momentum. You need to establish a winning identity with this group.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.